You're listening to It's Not a Show with Tara DeFrancisco and Rance Rizzuto. They're usually performers, but today they're just pals. And it's not a show.
Hi, everybody. We're live on itsnotashow.com. We're so glad that you're here. We just did a live recording that you'll hear, if you're listening to this, after the fact. Thanks for coming on and listening to our double episode, Dave. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, hey, I'm Rance Rizzuto.
I'm Tara DeFrancisco.
And it's still us, still not doing no show. This is not a show.
You got it.
Good.
It's been a while. I'll tell you what, it's 2022. We're getting through it. I'll tell you what, today, Rance, is MLK Jr. Day. And here in where we are in Central Ohio, it is also a snow day. It is like the snowiest of days.
Yeah, this winter storm ripped through. And we didn't have the most amount of snow, but it's I think some plowing has been done on the old roads, and it's still white out there. So
I'll tell you something cute. We lived in Chicago for 15 plus years, so we're very Chicago-y. But I was born here in Columbus, Ohio, C-bus, as we call it colloquially. And Rance is now a C-bus head, and not anything anyone says.
As we call it.
And I'll tell you what, we lived in an apartment the entirety of the time we lived in Chicago, because that's just sort of the way for many of us, and certainly can be here as well. But we were fortunate enough to find a house here, and our neighborhoods are so sweet. There's actually people outside that all like band together that have like snow blowers and stuff, and they just went around snow blowing the entirety of the neighborhood.
Yeah,
it's so cute.
It's really nice. Although I noticed our sidewalks are still covered with snow.
We got the lump of coal, I think. Because I think it's just because we're on a corner, but we're still waiting to see if they might do it. They went on this main drag, and we're on the corner of that drag, so we're hoping that they also do our stuff, so we don't have to shovel snow.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: if they don't, it's probably gonna stay that way.
Yeah, joke's on them. They can plow it, or we can leave it.
Last time it snowed, I think it snowed earlier this month, and when it snowed, it rained the very next day, and it was all gone. So it's like maybe this will probably stick around a little more, but it'll also go away at some point.
Let's talk about this, okay?
Let's do it.
When you were a kid,
yeah.
Do you remember any snow days specifically?
Well, I grew up in Oregon, and things are very different there than they are here. The old
Midwest,
mid-east of the United States. I prefer to call it the Mid-East because it's we've barely made it through a third of the country towards the west.
We're quite literally almost the East Coast in Columbus, so it's funny that we're still Midwestern, but our demeanor certainly is.
Yes. So here, Chicago, it's like plows and salt and plows and salt. You want to not go to school, there had better be 4 inches of snow, and it had better be so cold that the plows can't get through it, and you'd better hope that the bus drivers just aren't brave enough to handle it.
Yeah, it's about bravery.
In Oregon, however, there is no salt. They do not use salt. There is zero salt. At least where I grew up around Portland. And
did you all know that? Did everyone listening know that? I don't think I knew that. No one. I was surprised that people outside of the Midwest and East Coast don't use salt. You want to talk about what you all do in the West Coast?
Yeah, it is all gravel. And it is chains, meaning like everyone puts chains on their tires, and everyone or everyone buys and has snow tires put on their cars during the winter, which is like little studs on the tires. And
that's great.
If it snows a half inch, you don't go to school. That's all it takes.
That is a kid's paradise. I mean, I truly, when Rance was like, yeah, if we got a half inch in Portland, we'd be home. I was like, what are you talking about? Because I'm coming from the land of, Chicago is like a full foot of snow to get canceled. I'd say that Columbus is really similar to that. That because we have salt and plows and all that stuff to kind of get you through on the main drags, but neighborhoods are typically like demolished with snow, and it really tough to get around. And I remember as a kid being like, "It's got to be a snow day," and there'd be like 8 inches sometimes, and you would still go. It was
Yeah.
wild.
I think because there was no salt, it typically meant that there would be there was like more likely to be freezing rain
Uh-huh.
and black ice in
Sure.
Portland. So if it snowed, as it got to the temperature of snowing, it probably means there's a layer of ice under the snow. So that's part of the like why it only takes a half inch, just because there's no salt to melt it, and everyone's just sliding all over the roads, and there's way more hills all over the
Yeah.
place.
That makes sense. The hilliness of like a coastline makes more sense to me because here we're pretty flat until you get to the southern part of the state. But it's makes sense. That makes sense. Here's my question for you. Do you remember having any fun on snow days that you're like are prominent for you?
Yeah, because there was a hill right on my street, like a big, decent size hill that was like a city block away. Or the roads were more windy in the suburb I lived in, so it was like just around the bend. But we would take the sled up to the top of the hill and go shooting down. And if you were lucky, I could probably make it to my house on a sled run if it was like good slippery conditions and I steered right, because if you go just straight down the hill, there's a curve, and our neighbor's house is on the curve. So if you could get around the curve, you could do it. But typically, it would mean if you don't bail on your sled, you fall into the pit of that person's front yard.
Oh no.
Yeah, which is what a lot of cars did when it was icy, to the
Yeah.
point that neighbor filled because people would like speed through our neighborhood and not make that turn and go. They had at least 3 cars go into their front yard, and then they filled it with giant boulders just to be like, here's some, like, you want to keep driving fast through here? Good luck.
Here's some danger.
Yeah, but we also
Dang.
live very close to Mount Hood. Like it was probably 45-minute drive to Mount Hood, and I think because of that, because Portland was a let's go to the mountains, let's go skiing, let's go entertaining up in the mountains. That's part of it. Is like people always had chains or snow tires on them in the winter just because they were going to recreation to go to the mountains. So it just
Oh,
became
that's interesting.
yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Like they want to get to the snowiest place.
Mm-hmm.
So we have we have snow days here are always sledding, but there's like enough hills around that you can just run to some place in a neighborhood and get to a good hill. But I'll tell you what, I was real fond of sledding. I had 2 sleds consistently used, one a plastic toboggan sort of sled that
Mm-hmm.
was so fast. Oh, I loved it so much. And I went sledding on this crazy hill once in a place called Brookside. It's like a golf course that had like a lot of big hills that kids went to. And I remember I just gotten this cool soft leather coat. I was probably like in 8th grade. And it was like so beautiful. It was like a beautiful soft leather coat that was like sort of trendy at this point of the year.
Yeah.
And I had just unwrapped it. I mean, I had just gotten it, and I was on one of those metal sleds. The coat got caught under the metal sled, and I shredded the coat immediately. Got home, and my parents were like, What happened?" And I was like, I was a kid, and I ruined this thing. I ruined it. You see, I ruined it.
I'll tell you what happened.
Oh,
I was a kid, man. I never had the best sled. I had a okay sled, and Thad
yeah.
was the best sled. My
Oh, well,
friend
let's talk
Thad.
about time out, time out. You
Yeah.
whizzed past your friend Thad. Let's just talk about Thad for a second.
Yeah, my friend Thad, he lived right across the street from. Actually, he lived right across the street from the house with the pit that cars would go into,
There we go. There we go.
diagonally across the street from me. And he had one of those metal turn the front thing kind of
Yeah.
classic what rosebud sleds, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of sled rosebud is even, but
It's like that. It's like that.
his could steer, and I had like a blue plastic one that for a long time that was just like you go down and that's it.
Yeah.
So when I was mentioning being able to get home and steering, it would be using Thad's sled that could steer.
I'll be honest with you, even though those sleds that you're
Finally.
talking about are really like well known and
Yeah,
they're like cooler looking, I feel like they're way sloppier to sled on because you can flop off the sled easier. Like because they have a wood base usually that's a seat
yeah,
and like you can also sled off your sled whereas like a plastic toboggan you're in it to win it. Those disc kind are the fastest, scariest. And
yeah,
like I had a long one that was like a plastic, I don't know what to call that, like a shoe, a
yeah,
rectangle. And I
yeah.
love that one because I could kind of steer it and it was fairly safe.
You
The other
could.
one,
That's the kind that I had. Was that
yeah, it had a rope. It was like you could kind of guide it, but
the
not the
kind that
same
you
as the
could
other ones.
the kind that you could easily use as like a seed starter for a
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah.
Deep cut.
It just
Deep
has that
cut.
it has that feel of like, I guess you could go down in snow in this.
It could break. It could break.
It could break.
Yeah, if you're listening live, of course, feel free to weigh in on your snow day experiences. We also love hearing things from our live viewers. But of course, this is a podcast, so you might be listening to it much later on
Yeah,
than right now. And we always take feedback and debatables at itsnotashow.com. Go to itsnotashow.com to submit a debatable, a quandary, or a riddle for us to solve
mm,
during the show. And
real.
feel free to weigh in on any episode that you hear. We sure love that stuff. In fact, some of our future episodes coming soon, we'll have one of our friends, Michael Tonovitz, weighing in on reviewing our reviews of certain debatables. So we'd love to hear from you
Yeah.
whenever you want to weigh in.
For as hot as our takes are, his
Hot
takes
takes.
his takes are sizzling.
Oh, sizzling takes from some of
Sizzling.
our listeners. Also, I should just give another thank you. Thank you, everybody in No Show Nation on It's Not a Show, because we have been so fortunate that people jumped right into loving this podcast. Thank you so much. We did this during 2020 when we needed kind of an outlet for chatting and connecting with our community and just sort
Yeah.
of, doing something creative in addition to a game show we host and some stuff we do to support our community here in Central Ohio. But uh, it was just so fun right away that we went quickly to top 50 podcasts ranking for comedy and improv. And we just wanted to say thank you for that. So thank you. If you have rated this podcast, thank you. And if you would like to, we sure would appreciate it because we want to keep it going and know that people have interest in just chatting about dumb stuff. I'll tell you what, the last 2 years has been hard. It's been a really
Yeah.
hard time in this era of our lives. And if we can take a little a little sting out of that zing for any of our No Show Nation, then we'll happily do so. And
Yeah.
it'll be probably talking about things that don't matter at all.
Yeah, that's the important that's the whole reason for this. Get some of that heat out, get some of that sting out of the zing,
Oh,
talking about stuff that doesn't matter at all.
you got it.
And we can only assume that your past couple years have not been the best. I
So
don't think
hard.
we're the only ones, but it's so I feel pretty confident in like everyone's not had the best 2 years of their lives. The
A
last
solid,
two,
solid guess. And
unless
I'll
you
tell
were
you,
born in like January 2020, then these are like definitely the only years of your life, so they have to be the best
and the worst.
and the worst.
And as you're out there doing good work for people in real time, in real life, all over the world, I hope you can unload with a little silliness with us on this dumb show and many things like it that give you protection and safety throughout this time. With that all said, Rance, again, letting people know they can go to It's Not a Show to listen to any prior podcast and or submit a debatable of their own. I think we
Yes,
can move on to maybe our debatable today. Do you want to do so?
let's do it.
Okay, now here's the deal. This debatable is from a person in Columbus, Ohio. Honestly, rare. We often have a lot of people that are submitting from Canada, the UK, and all over the United States, but this one is from right here, Rance, from our friend Bridget Mendiuk. Are you ready?
Oh,
I'm going to put it up on the screen for anyone that's watching the live impromptu stream today.
okay.
But and just for you to have reference to the debatable of the day, it's completely unrelated to snow, and it is this: Question.
Touch it
Bridget
too.
Bridget asks, "What is the best appetizer for the table?"
Best appetizer for the table.
Now, what I think she means by that is what is the best appetizer for many people to indulge in at the same table if they're going to order an order of blank? What is the right appetizer to order? This is the kind of debatable and quandary I love because
Yeah.
we can go through a smattering of ideas and see why some things are failures and why things are successes.
I think this would have been easier 10 years ago
Why is that?
because a lot of like great appetizers destroy people with gluten allergies.
Oh, that's fair. So, okay, so let's say this. That can be included in your response, of course, rants.
Thank you.
But let's say that, like, barring allergies, so that we can take that into consideration and know that we have that in our it's in our scope. But like,
Okay.
assuming everyone is fairly allergy free, what are the best appetizers to share?
Mozzarella sticks. Next
Easily.
question.
Next question. Sorry, this episode's so short. Ka-champ.
Hmm.
Let me tell you something. Ka-champ. The only answer to this question well, not my only, but the one of the tops has got to be Mott sticks because you don't get your grubby little mitts all over everybody else's BS.
Yep.
Don't
That
don't don't smear your little mitts all over my food. I don't want your mitts all over my food. Get your little grubbies off mine.
yeah, it's a separated food. Like I will go with chicken fingers too, but it's like chicken fingers are a little bit too
Man,
proteiny and too meaty to be an appetizer because now you're running the risk of spoiling your meal. I would
and
go.
also eliminating like probably like vegetarians. Not that we aren't, vegans probably aren't going to have any chance at appetizer sharing, but like vegetarians can still get down for the mozzarella sticks.
Yeah.
And let me say another one that's akin to this that I also enjoy. That is something I'd only get as like an app. That I would never think to have it in regular time anywhere. Is
Okay.
potato skins.
Potato skins got real potato peel made with potatoes and skins that are real.
Copyright infringement. Copyright infringement
Yep.
from Rants from a 1989 commercial. Listen,
That-
here's the deal. Like potato skins are good. They shouldn't be good. Look, I'm mad. I'm getting mad. They shouldn't be good, but they are good because if you
Yeah.
get a good potato skin, it's a meal.
Yeah.
B, it's just a loaded baked potato that's been cut in like I don't know quarters, halves, whatever is happening there. I've never made potato
But it's
skins.
also like
I've had
tiny
them.
potatoes. It's like what they like if they're like let's sell baked potatoes and they're like, well, these potatoes won't do. They're too small. Then they're like,
No.
I know what to do with them.
I'm gonna
Potatoes.
chop these up. I'm gonna potato skin them. And I think that that's the same category as your mozzarella. I said mozzarella skins. Gross. Don't ever eat mozzarella.
Oh,
Here, can I get an order of mozzarella skins for the table?
oh, no one else wanted these.
One of these are just for me.
End of the night, you're like trying to split the bill, and everyone's like, "Do not split the mozzarella." You have to pay for
Can I
those.
get some? Can I get some potato sticks and mozzarella skins? Right
Potato
quick.
sticks. Oh,
I think that they're the same energy rants that like you said mozzarella sticks. That was on my hot. That was my one of my first hot hits
yeah,
and potato skins because you also know and this is important. This is crucial. You also know how to divide them. So it's not even just about the touching. It's like everyone gets a stick is
yeah.
an easier thing to do than the old sloppiest of all nachos. Nachos is the worst.
Ugh. Let me tell you about nachos.
Talk about it.
So busy, like like I didn't used to like I was not interested in potato skins because they seemed too busy.
Yeah, I get it.
Loaded potato skins at TGI Fridays specifically.
I
And then
get
I
it.
had one and I was like, wait a second. Because it was like it looked too greasy. It's too much like as soon as you throw chives on something, that's like, why bother? Uh chives just looks like doesn't taste enough like a thing to be on a thing. It just makes it just adds green so that you can say like I've got my vegetables for the day when you're eating a fried potato skin.
Okay, but wait. I'm gonna go back a hot second. Chives, I understand. Okay, you're not wrong,
I
but
know.
you're not right either.
What?
Chives have a flavor that is a nice touch to a potato skin. I'm not saying they're crucial, but I do think they add like a little bit of like oniony nice to it that you're like, oh, I like this little kick at the end. Would I like get down on a a big like tuft of chives? Probably not. Like I don't know if I'd like. I don't know if you're gonna catch me if you walk down to our kitchen ranch just like gnashing on some chives.
I
But
just feel like it's like you have a baked potato skin and you set a plate of potato skins out in your yard, and then someone mowed the lawn as they went by it, sprayed, sprayed grass on your potato
you're
skins.
you're just strongly anti-chive. I don't think that this is not true because I've definitely put chives on things you've had. You'd be like, yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
I think chives being yeah, they're good is about as good as it's gonna get, unless you're like a bunny. And I do think you're right. It does look like grass clippings.
They're about as needed as a restaurant that puts like serves their food on top of a lettuce leaf on a plate.
Oh God. Okay, look, we're getting into a lot of like very, very important areas, VIA, which are which are don't give me a lettuce leaf boat. Just don't do it. It's always wet. Why is it always
Yeah,
wet? It's always wet. Like the chef in the kitchen was like dunk this leaf and then put on some like some chicken on it or something. It's like, what do you do? I don't want a wet leaf with my like I don't know what that's even for lettuce wraps. Like I guess if you're gonna get lettuce wraps, that's a thing that people get, right?
yeah, but
Oh,
give your dishwasher a raise so that the plates are clean, so you don't have to try to like protect my food from the plate. That's what I.
right.
That's the message you're sending.
Yeah, I don't want that. I totally agree. Like leaf under appetizer, bad. This is not the debatable, but it's an important section.
We're in a quandary storm right now. We're like
Yeah,
looping all over the place. To get back to nachos,
here it comes.
which is where we started.
Yeah.
Nachos are they're sloppy bologna because they're like a pile
Mm,
of
mm,
chip
mm, mm, mm.
with who knows what put on top depending on the place. Definitely cheese, and we could have stopped there. Sometimes people are like, and olives, and then you've already ruined it.
Nah, you did it. What are you doing? Here's the thing, though. I don't think that nachos as an appetizer is bad. I'm just saying don't share it. Like it's not.
Yeah. No, no,
You
no.
never get.
I'm talking about for sharing of like,
Okay, okay.
and you go
Not
to grab one chip off the top, and that chip on the top is connected to 40 other chips that are touching the cheese. So you have
always.
no choice but to touch the cheese that someone else is going to put in their mouth to
Yes.
get the chip off.
Yes, there's always like this lava, this molten lava connective tissue of cheese that then ruins, like someone will pick one, it'll pull four nachos disbursement of cheese off, and then you're left with the wet soggy nacho that has no topping, which is garbage. It's garbage.
Yep.
So like, can you share it? No, I don't think that nachos are for sharing. The only exception to this might be, and I think this is where we're lucky, Rants, maybe in like a partnership situation where you don't care if someone else's grubby mitt is like ripping apart
Yeah.
well, like we can you and I could probably share nachos because we could like pull them apart and not be like, get your hand off of it. But if I'm going out with like, my pals from work, I don't want your mitts all over
Yeah.
I don't want your mitts all over my jalapenos or whatever the hell's on there.
Yeah. Like if we were going to eat with your family,
Yeah.
which is now at a solid 15 if everyone's on board.
Yeah, they're big. That's a
I'm
big
not
family.
sharing nachos with anybody else. I'll
Nah, nah,
order
nah,
other
nah,
stuff.
nah. Nah. I think maybe another good contingent or a good contender for this answer is probably something like wings. If everyone eats meat, like I'm not saying that that's like an ideal appetizer. I'm just saying it's a good take one.
Yeah.
Like mozzarella sticks, potato skins, wings are all like grab your thing and we'll split them. Maybe egg rolls is probably
Chicken
one that
fingers,
people have.
egg rolls, crab rangoon, that
Crab
things where
rangoon, yeah.
anything on the menu that you can read, four pieces. And then it's like, okay, cool. There's 12 of us. Let's get three orders. Everyone gets a piece.
Yeah.
Done.
Another contender might be like charcuterie. That'd probably be okay because you can take what you want and make it, but you're not touching everyone else's everything's.
If a charcuterie's done right, perhaps at Charcuterie Co. in the local Powell area. Powell? They're in Powell,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Then yeah, everything's organized in a way that uh, you can grab anything without touching anything else. I've seen
Yes.
like meat and cheese plates where it's like all the meat is like laid out like if you take a deck of cards and slide it across the table. So
Yes.
it's kind of like you'll have to touch something else to get a piece of something off. But a nicely done charcuterie where
We're
everything is
saying we're saying charcuterie because it's a brand here in Columbus, but
yes
charcuterie is what we're talking about. Yes, of course.
charcuterie.com.
Also, what's another horrendous pick? Do you have any other
Yeah,
bad
I was
ones?
trying to think of that.
Nachos.
Nachos is my number one worst pick. Fries is oddly close because it's again hard to
Mm,
get in there, but it's somewhere in the middle ground of like I'll steal a fry from anyone easy, but I'd have to make sure like who's eating here with me, what's going on with them.
yeah.
I God, what's another appetizer that would be bad?
I don't know. I mean, you really nailed it with like I don't know exactly what the uh like that wet lettuce thing derailed me and made me so mad thinking about it that I completely lost track of like what's another good kind. But you're right. The good ones are egg rolls, wings, mozzarella sticks, potato skins. Crab rangoon is one you said, and I think maybe what's a downside? What's a bad one? Nachos. Uh, uh,
I also
there's got to be a sloppy one.
I don't really get appetizers because when I go somewhere, I'm ready to eat the meal, and I'm not like I'm never.
You
I've
don't want
rarely
like a
had the
starter.
appetite to eat more than the meal I want to have.
Do people order salads as appetizers to
No.
share?
Well, Olive Garden is the closest, I guess.
Or something like that that's like family style where you'd order one to like take it out of the bowl? That might be a thing. What if I keep chatting for a second? I'm gonna look up a menu of appetizers and see if I can tell you anything that
Oh, great.
like. We'll go through some that are garbage. How about that?
Also, it's like, what do you do? I've only eaten this style like twice, but like tapas is essentially
Hmm.
all appetizers. It's
Hmm.
all a la cartes and appetizers.
How about this, Rance? Here's an example restaurant. Here's one.
Okay.
Bruschetta.
I think that can be done. Okay.
I think so because you're probably getting bruschetta is like you get bread and you put tomatoes on it, or it comes that way.
I feel like if you have to do it messier, but whenever I've seen it come that way, it's been easy to grab.
And there's a spoon, probably if there is, like there's it's not like you're like again cramming those gloves into like some wet tomatoes by yourself.
Yeah.
What about
Anything that oh, I just thought of something.
okay.
Anything that has uh like chips and like spinach dip or
I was
something
just gonna
like
say the
that.
next one on this list is artichoke and spinach dip.
Artichoke and spinach dip. So there you run the risk of um
Mouths.
who are your sneaky double dippers?
Yeah, double dip. Someone else in our live stream, people that are viewing right now in this impromptu cast is we had some people saying like double dipping. One of our friends, Jody, wrote like double dippers are the worst. Like that's the bad thing. And people that are looking out for like anything that's pretzels and cheese or like you dunk something and oh man, you put your mouth's all in my dip now. Maybe if you didn't do it right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want your mouth in my dip.
No, man.
What about we have bruschetta, we have artichoke and spinach dip, we have stuffed mushrooms. Neither of us like mushrooms, but that seems
No,
okay. That seems like a thing you could take one of.
no, it's bad because
It's mushrooms.
it's an awful thing, and it's not good for the table because it's like awful for at least 70% of the people there.
Oh, you mean wait, time out. You're taking a strong stance that 70% of people don't like mushrooms?
That's right.
You're wrong. I am one of those 70%, but I don't think that that's an accurate count.
Well, look at who we have here, and that's 100%. So getting rid of 30% is probably more accurate.
I don't think that's how you do percentages.
That's how I do percentage.
I feel like this might be tilted, slightly skewed.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think anything that's like, and take this with, I've been a fairly picky eater for a lot of my life, and there's a lot of, and I don't want to really load up on appetizers if I'm getting a meal. So I barely ever partake. Like, I have not had. We kicked Jody out of the thread. I haven't had. She just said she loves mushrooms. I
why are you reading those?
Oops. I have never had a jalapeno popper. Um, they are too spicy for me. So it's like things like that are like it's either something that's like maybe too spicy for the whole table, or maybe a disgusting type of food that only grows in feces. Who can say?
You can just throw that around. You can just throw that around as the reason you don't eat them. I like lots of things are grown in manure. That's how life is.
No, but there's a difference between grown in manure and only grows on it. Like
How
like,
so? How so?
well, just trust me on it.
Look, Rance, Rance. No, here. I mean, I will say this though. You've hit a really beautiful area, which is I think that people that do you know like when you go out to eat with some people that are like, "We'll take a round of blank for the table," and they don't like confer.
Yeah,
I think that's a very outdated thing to do, by the way. If you're doing that, you should probably check in with your table because unless you're paying for everything, you just sound like an 80s bully.
there you go.
Who's just like, I'll take a crab for everyone. It's like, no, you don't know. If you're ordering things like fried mushrooms or like calamari for the table, you have not asked anyone what their food preferences are.
Yeah,
Mushrooms is a major divider, as are tomatoes, as are seafood, right? These are things that like definitely make people furious that you would order it for them. And like if someone's like, "Oh, you're gonna love the mushrooms," and I'm like, "I don't like them," they're like, "Oh, just try them." I'm like, "Why do you think I don't know?
yeah.
Why do
Where,
you think I don't know?"
where do you think I'm at in my life that I've never had a food before? Which
Yeah,
is
look,
possible, I guess, but also like
do you think that's possible that you've never had a food before?
I think it's possible. I've never had like frog's legs, or I've never had
Oh, any food.
escargot,
I see.
but it's like still
But that's
you're
like
like the braggadociousness of like, I'm gonna have a we're ordering this for the table, and then it's usually followed with let's split it cost wise.
that's
Like,
exactly right.
you want to experiment, go for it. You can order it, but you order it for the table, like you order a round of drinks for people, not
That's exactly right.
let's get a round of Midori sours and then break the bill and everyone buys their own Midori sour.
Thanks for saying Midori sour. I think that there's yeah, there's definitely like some kind of pretentiousness that comes with that. I'll get this. And I do think also like when you order something like that and assume that I'm going to oh, you know, my biggest pet peeve rants is this when someone orders fish and they say you should get this fish. Okay, I don't like fish. I just don't like it. I've tried it a billion times. I always retry it just to make sure I'm still wrong. I don't like seafood. Name it. Tuna is the only thing I can get by on. It's Rance knows it's like I will try, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
That being said, my favorite thing that fish eating people say is get this fish and I'll say, "Oh, I don't like fish." And they'll be like, "Oh, it's not that fishy." It is a universal thing that
Yeah.
pescatarians say that they don't understand what fish tastes like because it's like it absolutely is. If it's not fish like, then why would I order it? Like, why are you getting it? It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. The
It's like
logic is insane.
it's like saying to them like, "Oh, you should get this filet mignon. It's really good here." And they're like, "Oh, I'm a pescatarian," and saying like, "It's not that beefy."
Yeah, you would never say it's not that beefy. You would never say it's not that beefy because it is implicitly beef. So when you tell me a fish isn't fishy, I want to know what you think fishy is. Do you think it means bad? What do you think it means? Because you've made the word fishy synonymous with like kind of a reeky smell,
Yeah.
like a reek. And I'll tell you what I don't like about seafood is the smell of the sea. I like the sea, but I don't want to eat it. So
Yeah.
like if I also don't like seaweed or like kelp, and I've tried those things too, like algae, just to be like maybe it's fish, and it's like oh no, it's the sea. I don't like that flavor.
Yeah.
So
It
I just think it's funny when people are presumptuous about like, "You'll like it."
it really is true. Like that's the only thing. And
Yeah.
I like it's because you brought pescatarians into it. It's like if you're like, "What do you want to eat?" They have a good burger here. "Oh, I don't eat red meat." It's never met with like, "But it's a great burger." It's
Yeah, like, yeah,
it's
you'd
always
never challenge that.
it's like, "Oh, okay, well they have a turkey burger. Cool. Oh, you should have their you should have the turkey burger. Oh, I'm a vegetarian.
You're totally
Okay.
right.
You should have
Yeah,
this fish. I don't eat fish. It's not that fishy."
relax. It's like less fishy than you're used to. Well, I don't want any of it.
Yeah.
Here's another classic that we overstep probably is like guacamole. I know you don't like avocado rants, but
Yeah.
guacamole is probably like the double dip issue that we'd had with artichoke dip or anything like that too, right?
Yeah.
Trying to think of any other like common
And
thing.
that's a tough one too because it's not just an easy dip. I don't think it's a thicker, like
Yeah, it's tough.
higher probability of chip break and
Yeah, chip break for sure.
having to like dig your dirty DBs in there to get your your chip out.
DBs for anyone watching is dick beaters. Rant says get your dirty DBs out of lots of things, and we laugh and laugh. Oh, we have fun. Oh gosh.
Shout out to
Uh,
Uriah Roth from Portland, Oregon.
yeah, this is like a thing that one of his childhood friends said to him, and it constantly comes up in our house as a funny thing to say. That being said, so let's go back again. Rance and I are on board about pickles, fine to share, meatballs, fine to share, antipasta, fine to share. Um, mozzarella sticks, potato skins. Great, great, great. Great. We love it. Uh, Probably if you're into like shrimp scampi or something like that. I don't like seafood, but again, that's probably okay to share because it's one at a time. But the key here, the contenders that suck are those sharing ones where you're ripping someone else's opportunities off.
Yeah. Oh, here's one, Tara, that we both enjoy that I just now thought of as a potential threat.
What is it?
Edamame.
Ooh, I love it. I love
Because
edamame.
it seems like it's good because you can grab them separately, but
Uh-huh.
also if you're not careful and don't grab them separately, you've just touched something that someone will like. I don't know how anyone else eats edamame besides putting the whole thing in your mouth to get the soybeans out.
I like pop them out into my mouth.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh,
But still, they're close to my mouth.
that whole thing to get all the salt off it.
Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Too much salt. Too much salt for me. But you're right. You have this like refuse pile. Same for wings, where it's like the refuse pile is mouthy. Like there's just too much mouth sitting there on that table to get out of be discarded.
You guys want to get wings? That's a lot of mouthy refuse. I don't want to deal with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want that mouthy refuse. I don't know what to do with that.
Here's
I feel like these are solid answers.
Yeah. Also, I
Okay.
think that crab rangoon is closer to the bad list for the table for me personally because I will chomp them all.
Well, that's okay because I don't like crab rangoons. And whenever Rance gets it, I'm like, "Are you having fun?" And he's like, "Yeah." You having fun?
Yeah. But if it
Yeah,
was a big group and they got crab rangoon, like someone's not getting crab rangoon.
because you're gonna take it all.
Yeah.
I feel like I might be that person with guac because I don't think I realize, and maybe people feel like this, like, oh, something is so good, and you kind of scoop it and go for it, and then you're like, man, this guac is good, and then you realize you're like majority guacking, you're
Yeah.
guacking it all, you know.
Guac
I
and
mean,
the Casbah.
you guac the Casbah,
Yeah.
ready to guac and roll.
Topical.
Mm. Yes. Jody from our live stream says, I should try crab rangoon because it's not too crabby. How dare you?
It really isn't too crabby.
It is crabby. I can taste crab
It
in it.
is.
Yes.
I don't think it's crabby at all. I think it's just like I think they put in a quarter teaspoon of crab and 5 tablespoons of sour or of cream
No,
cheese.
you defeated everything we just talked about because if you don't think it's crabby, then why not just get cream cheese in a shell?
That's what I get. That's what I know I'm getting when I order crab rangoon.
That's not true.
But
It's
the
not
first time I
fried
had
cream
crab
cheese.
rangoon, I was like, I don't know if I want this. And someone I think literally got it for the table, and I tried one. I was like, this doesn't taste like crab at all. This is cream cheese.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
know
you're
it's a
wrong.
cream cheese shell. It's just places call it crab rangoon.
Nah, I've had your crab rangoon to try it again, and it's just a big wad of crab with a bunch of cream cheese around it.
Well,
It's better than other things, but it's not fishy.
but also, what do I never do when I get crab rangoon? I never try to get you
Shit.
to eat it because I know I'm going to chomp it all.
Yeah, that's at a boy. I say have at it. Have
I
at it.
never have to say it's too crabby. It's not too crabby to you because you didn't even see it show up. It's gone.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Like you don't need you don't need any more. You don't need any more to worry about me sharing your crab rangoon. I'm gonna let you have it every time.
Yeah.
I concede. Please have it.
Yeah.
I love this debatable. Thank you, Bridget Mendiuk from Columbus, Ohio, for submitting this one. Again, anyone listening, you can submit a debatable at itsnotashow.com. We have been really fortunate. We put up on our social media platforms, Rance and I individually, like submit some debatables, maybe like, I don't know, probably a year ago at the beginning. And
Yeah.
we had so many debatables that it took us like, I don't know, 20 episodes to get through a lot of the biggest contenders. Um, so we're probably going to ask for that again soon on our social platforms, and you can always submit a debatable at your leisure at itsnotashow.com. Rance, anything from you to end this beautiful podcast?
I just challenge our lovely listeners to when they submit to know the difference between a debatable and a quandary. You're free to submit either one, but just know what you're getting at. Of like, this is like, what's the best appetizer? Is more of a quandary, and a debatable is which is better of an appetizers.
But both of them work.
They both work. I'm saying they both work, but I'm just saying, like, if you really want the hot debates, give us that debatable. If you want the spectrum of appetizers, give us a sweet quandary. They're both fun. It's just fun to know the difference.
Oh, thank you. Hey, thank you to our listeners, our live streamers that jumped on, live people that are participating and just watching us be goofballs. We did this very last minute today because we thought, why not be live while we do it, so we can kind of capture the recording and get it out there on any platform that we have. But we know a lot of people are kind of hanging tough in 2022 and social distancing and being careful during this Omicron spike. So we wanted to do something that was a little more interactive today, even though it was last minute and everything. So thank you. Our one of our watchers from Cleveland, Ron Fatika, said we look great, and he's been writing all along. Thank you to Jody. Thank you to all these lovely people jumping into the chat. We just love having you, and we'll be doing another one of these probably very soon. But if you haven't downloaded other episodes, go to itsnotashow.com. We can find all of our backlogged episodes. Oh. And if you're willing to do so, please go give us a 5 on Apple Podcast and write a little review for us. We love that stuff. Why not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.